it's a very tech heavy market, a lot of really type A personalities that like information. And so that's what we want to give to people who potentially want to work with us.
Hello and welcome to episode 58 of the Smart Agents Podcast. My name is Michael Walter and I'll be your host. In today's episode, we are joined by Seattle-based broker Brennen Clouse. A little over 5 years into his real estate career, Brennen's team, along with his business partner, are closing deals at an increasingly rapid rate. So, how are they attracting all of their business? Well, by educating the public through online workshops and focusing on top-notch customer service. Now, before we get on to the day's featured interview, make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents Podcast. You can find the show on all major podcasting platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and now Amazon Music. Also, as you can see if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Click the bell to get notifications when each new episode is uploaded. And lastly, if you or somebody else on your team has an awesome story or tip to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. We're always on the lookout for new stories to share. All right, let's get on to the day's featured interview with Brennen Clouse. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I hope you do as well. Basically, the way I like to start everything out is if you could just tell me who you are a little bit, where you're at in the country, and how you got into real estate.
Yeah, for sure. Hey there. So my name is Brennen Clouse. I'm a real estate broker in Seattle, Washington. I work primarily in the Seattle market, and I work with my business partner, Tracy Erickson, and we lead a small team of agents. So we have two other selling agents. Tracy and I both sell, and our assistant, Natasha, who works on our team, and we have one VA. So a small but mighty team. And we sell all over the Puget Sound, but primarily focused in Seattle. I have had my license for a little over 5 years currently, and Tracy has been selling for about 9 years. So we work together at Compass Real Estate in Seattle. I actually moved to Seattle to work at Microsoft after I graduated college. And so I had maybe a less traditional start in real estate. I'm only 30 years old. And so I left Microsoft after 4 years and decided to get into real estate after I was able to purchase my first place. Was really interested in the interior design side of the business, but my mentor kind of told me you should try real estate, see how it goes. Ended up getting my license, found that I could have some success at least. And so I decided to jump in full time about a year after getting my license. And so have been selling ever since. We're really excited. We're having a major year, a major growth year, as I'm sure a lot of people are, not only due to COVID, but just expanding our team. So we are about 69 transactions year to date for closed and pending sales amongst our team. A little over 50 million in volume.
Oh, awesome. So definitely made the right decision jumping out of the Microsoft job.
I like to think so. So.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that really kind of was interesting to me is how you gain clients and things. And
yeah,
you host webinars. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So during prior to COVID, we were really interested in how do we have seminars that people can attend in person. And those were somewhat successful. We didn't always have people show up. We tried to do a lot of happy hour style seminars or, more casual style where people could drop in near our office. But we obviously had to pivot just like everyone during COVID. And so now we host online webinars. We do a variety of topics for buyers and sellers. They're all recorded. They're about 30 minutes long, and people can sign up online and then they get a link to join the webinar when it starts. So we use a platform called Webinar Jam, which is really easy to navigate. It helps you host all of these webinars. You can upload slides to Webinar Jam that you can show. And we use that as a way to find new clients. We find that in our market, at least, there's a lot of people, it's a very tech heavy market, a lot of really type A personalities that like information. And so that's what we want to give to people who potentially want to work with us. So we find that education is really our way into a lot of people's view of real estate. And so we offer this educational component. We advertise each webinar on Facebook and Instagram. So there are links to our upcoming webinars. There we run ads for about 3 months prior to the webinar to try to get as many attendees as possible. And we host anywhere from 2 to 3 webinars per week. Either I'll host it or Tracy will host it. We put money behind the social media ads to try to get people in, but that's really our only cost in addition to time for setting up the webinars. And we essentially use our buyer and seller presentations that we already have ready to go, and we cater them to the topics. So some topics we do include the 4 biggest mistakes buyers make in our market, or how to decide the right price for your home when you're selling. What are the most important improvements to make before you put your home on the market? So for realtors, these are really basic things, right? But for the general public, they really want to know these little small details, and it's a good way for them to get to know you. We also have a lot of people that get referred to us who attend the webinar for the first time, and that's sort of their first exposure to us because it's an easier in than actually committing to a face-to-face meeting, right? So makes it a little more simple for someone to kind of see what you're all about, see your styles. They don't actually have to get on video, the attendees, it's only you. And like I said, those are all recorded, and then you can actually use that recording and you can put it out on the web to run every hour if you want, right? And there's another service called Ever Webinar that's tied into Webinar Jam that will actually run that for you every hour on the hour or every Friday at noon if you want. And it will pull attendees in through ads saying like, this webinar is starting in 15 minutes. Do you want to join? So we do that as well for other people coming in. And one way that we really had a lot of success promoting webinars was last fall, we did a contest. So we did sort of a referral type contest where we advertised that over the month, we were looking for people to attend webinars. If you referred someone to attend our webinar and that person actually attended, you would both be entered into a drawing to win a big prize. So our big prize was a $500 Airbnb gift card that was drawn at the end of the month. So we advertised that on social media all over, it was on our stories on Instagram, it was all over Facebook. And we did that for about a month, and we had about 100 signups from that. So really good way to end the year and really get people to kick off the next year, right? And those are all essentially customers that we now have in our database who we know have expressed interest in at least buying or selling at some point or learning more about it. And so we continue to follow up with those people to this day to see if they're still interested or what is their timeline. So it's been a really unique strategy for us, something that's quite low cost. You can obviously spend as much as you want on the ads, but it's been really, really good for us. And the contest has definitely been the most successful push for the webinars.
Yeah, I mean, everybody loves a little incentive to show up on something. We run training webinars and things like that, and we have prizes are tied into the end of it. We always say that. So it definitely keeps people coming throughout the whole thing, staying. But I really I think that's an awesome idea. And it is great. It's a great way to fill that database with people that you do know are interested in what you're doing. And it doesn't take, you sitting in front of a computer doing the presentation for however long you're doing it. It's not knocking on all these doors, cold calling, exponentially more people than you have in your database.
Yeah, usually, I mean, from our experience, you get, of course, the small percentage of people who are not interested or don't show up, and we still capture their email and phone number. Right. But a large majority of people who do show up and stay through the webinar are those people who will answer the phone if we call them back after the webinar, right? And say, hey, you came to our webinar, really happy you could join. Did you have any other questions, right? So it's a very easy lead in to building a relationship with a client who might transact in 6 months or a year or in a month. You never really know.
Right. I mean, not every one of those calls is now a warm call. There is no cold calling for you.
That's great. Exactly, which is great. We love that. We like the warm calls. We've provided something of value to them. And I'm sure we'll go back to some in person, but this is just a really scalable way to be able to be in front of a lot of people and for people to join from the comfort of their home, right? Especially we have a few slots we do over the lunch hour as well as in the evening. And it makes it super easy for someone, sitting at home, if they have a lunch break, right? They can jump right on instead of physically coming into a location.
Yeah, I think the virtual thing, it's such a low commitment. You don't have to get, you can sit there in your pajamas and watch it. Nobody can see
Yeah.
it. You're all good. I mean, like we do webinars all the time, and I know people, they're like, yep, just sitting here, eating lunch in my office and
Totally. Yeah. It's super easy for them. So that I think that's also a great thing.
Well, that's awesome. What, and then talking about those, once you've gotten these people kind of into your sphere and now they have bought a house, or bought a property, what are you doing to keep them, in your pipeline for the referral and the past client type deals?
Yeah, definitely. So we have I would say pretty robust gifting program. I've seen other realtors programs as well, but we're really heavy on gifts. So when someone transacts with us, they have to fill out a form that we call All About You. It asks, do you like coffee or tea, wine or beer? Do you have pets? What's your favorite sports team? Where'd you go to school? All of these questions about them. So we essentially have an insight into their life beyond what we learn about them during the process. And we have a pretty big gifting program where at our 1 month anniversary from the sale, as well as 1 year through the next 5 years, we send them some sort of gift. And so we try to cater this. Dogs are a big thing in Seattle. Everyone loves their dog. So we do a lot of dog gifts. We do a lot of like cooking kits or things that people we hope will really find useful and like really enjoy. And so we're delivering those for up to 5 years and pretty intently, not skipping any of them. We have a system down every month. Our anniversaries get sent to us by the virtual assistant. We go through based on that client's preferences. What do we want to get them? And we've simplified it quite a bit. We order most of our gifts off of Amazon or from a service that can be shipped to our office. Someone on the team wraps it up and drops it at their door if possible. If the client lives in a condo, which we can't get to the door as easily, then we'll mail it to them and you can send gifts via Amazon with a note. So we've tried to make it as simple as possible to be able to scale to all of these clients. We're also looking into a few different programs. We'd love to be able to offer, this is an idea that I took from another real estate agent, but offer at 1 month to rekey their house, right? So work with a local locksmith and have, say we can guarantee you whatever it is, 100 people a year to rekey. Can you give us a discount? And by the way, when you show up, can you hand them this card from us specifically, telling them how excited we are for them, that we love their referrals. Same idea. We've thought about this with a mobile card detail, right? Everyone's moving, their car's getting torn apart with all their boxes. How do you go in and help them with something that they might not have needed or know that they needed, right? So we're trying to partner with local businesses as well on this to really make it something that benefits the community, but also really surprise and delight our customers, right? That's, I think, what it's all about. We do some of that during the transaction process. I know some other real estate agents do this as well. We send a moving box kit to the client after they pass the inspection to get them more excited about moving, right? Here's some boxes, wrapping, tape, styrofoam. And then we also send them cookies as a countdown to closing. So 7 days before closing, 7 cookies or brownies, have a cookie per day for we're on track to close. So some things that we really like to do just to try to go above and beyond what we see other people doing in the market and to really make our clients happy and hopefully love us for the rest of their life, right? We want to be their number one realtor. So.
Right. Well, and like if this is somebody that's come through a webinar on the front end and they've dealt with you and what you're doing for them during the transaction, then everything that you have afterward, like you're the best. Like, no, they're never referring anybody to anybody else. I mean, you're the man. Like,
right. Yeah. That we want it to be like that full stop. This is the team that I would feel comfortable with any of my friends using because they have the education up front, right? They take really good care of you. They're super excited for you and happy for you throughout the process. Not only that, they remember you years after you've transacted, right? It's not a 1 year thing. And this is something we can get even better about, right? We are always talking about how do we stay in closer touch with our clients from the past, because we'll send them a text or a video on their 6-month anniversary, but what more can we do, right? And how can we show them that we appreciate them beyond just that single, whatever it might be, 30 days, from contract to close.
Yeah. And I like that, the form that you have, so it really personalizes things. Cause I know, I've had real estate agents myself in the past, and you get the really cookie cutter card. It's like, yeah, you sent this out to 5,000 other people,
Yeah, totally. Don't get me wrong. We have some of those for sure. Some of the gifts we do, they're highly acceptable amongst most people, but right. We really do try to, and that's the whole point of having that form, right? Is to try to understand them a bit more. And it even helps us with our closing gift to them. So we really try to cater the closing gift as well. So we have a standard basket, right, that goes in their house with champagne and cleaning supplies and toilet paper and water and all this stuff that they'll need. But beyond that, we're trying to find something that they'll know we thought of them specifically, not just another client that we had.
So what made you want to go that route and to have, to provide such a great, experience for your clients?
Yeah, I think I like thinking about the customer experience more probably than I like selling even. I'm more systems driven and driven by how to scale things. So that's what I love thinking about and love thinking about how do we get this in a process where everyone on our team is able to use it and it brings so much value to the client. So this is sort of what I did at Microsoft as well, was customer experience marketing. So it fell kind of right into what I was already doing, but it makes me more happy when someone reaches out to me, a past client reaches out to me, right? Because they get something that they're totally excited about. Or I'll have a client who's referred another client and they're like, hey, I want that gift that they got because that's an awesome gift, right? Mm-hmm. And so that makes me really happy to hear those things. And it puts you kind of in the receiving seat, right? Like you've done something so cool for them that they want to reach out to you, as opposed to you kind of always having to follow up. I think that's the best experience as a realtor, is to be able to really surprise them and delight them in a way where they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, like he thought about us, they thought about us, they really care. They want to build this relationship. It's not just about that transaction that they had that year.
Yeah. So what's the reaction been like, or what's the success that you've seen from these programs that you've set up?
Yeah. I mean, as far as the webinars, we have, like I mentioned, like from that one contest at the end of last year, that was the end of 2020. We had about 100 new people come in. And we've seen a couple transactions this year, under 5, but we've still seen a couple this year from that, which has been really great. We are continuing to do that. So we continue to fill up our database. I won't say it's like 30 people a week, because it's certainly not, but that depends on how much you advertise. So we see, anywhere from like 1 to 10 new clients a week coming into those webinars. And those are all nurture leads for us, right? We're just figuring out how to help them as best we can. And then as far as the gifting program, it's so hard to track, but we know that those people who get those gifts and think about us do really refer us more, and they become, it's all of our clients, but the ones who really appreciate it start to refer us even more, which is what we want, right? We want those people who appreciate it and really feel like we are taking care of them, because that's the type of customer we want to work with again in the future.
Right. Kind of jumping onto a slightly different topic, but on your Instagram page and everything like that, you this idea of educating the clients, you can really see that throughout your Instagram pages with your updates. I mean, you're very in front of the clients with what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely one of our, I would say, pillars of business is to be education focused. And that's where the webinars come from too, right? I don't actually like to work with clients unless we've sat down and done a consultation and they've let me tell them like, this is what you need to be prepared for, because I'm not the type of person who wants to explain it in 30 seconds before you submit the offer, right? I want, and I attract the people I think who are very thorough and want to be educated. And that has then become a pillar of our team. So it's really important to me. And I think it's done well in my business to be that person. And I get it all the time. I get, people who are on my Instagram who work with other agents, but they're like, I listen to your market update, right? Or I know about this because of what you said. And I'm like, why didn't you work with me? But at the same time, I'm like, great. Like, at least you're watching, right? And you never know which of those people is then going to refer you the next person, right? So even if it's not that person who's watching and using a different agent, they're eventually going to see your value because of your education. And so I've tried, intently or unintentionally to lead with education. And now that's become something that has been really important. And I think clients who like that refer other clients who like that, which is really great for me and great for those clients because we're kind of on the same page with how important it is to be educated up front.
Right. Yeah. And I was watching one of the intro videos on your website. Like the first thing that said was, I want to sit down and talk, have a face-to-face meeting with you. And it totally all about that.
Yeah. I just find, the process back to customer experience. In my opinion, the process is going to be 1,000 times better for that customer if they know what they're going to go through and they know, here's how I'm going to take care of you, right? Like, here's what we are going to do for you. Here's where you can lean on me for advice, what to know, how to navigate it, instead of just going through it and jumping right in. And that can be hard with some clients, right? We get clients all the time. Oh, no, I've done this before. I get it. I know how it goes. Well, okay, the market might be different. You might have done it in a different state, right? Like you might have done it 25 years ago. There are a lot of things that can be different. So I think it's super important to really emphasize how much value they get if they can at least have a conversation before they start.
Yeah. You're talking about scalability and things with businesses. You mentioned having the virtual assistant. I think that's something that a lot of people just don't have much experience with. And just how much has that helped your business?
Yeah, it has helped tremendously. And really what it has helped with is that cold calling side of the business. So we do have lead sources coming in from not only webinars, but Facebook and Instagram advertisements, our IDX website. We, are on the referral sites like Upnest and I forget what the other one is, like, I can't remember its name, but right, we're on all of these sites, right? And there's just not enough time in the day for any of us really, if we're selling, to be in front of those leads within 5 minutes, let alone 24 hours, right? And so the primary thing that this virtual assistant has taken on is really booking those appointments and trying to get people in front of us for that consult. And it's continually a work in progress, right? The reason if it's not working is because we're not educating the VA enough about how to speak to a client. But in addition to that, I mentioned the gifting program, that virtual assistant, it's very easy for them to say, okay, it's September. Here are all the birthdays and all of the anniversaries you have in September, because we have that in a database. And it's just someone prompting you over email. Okay, I've got to think about that for this month, right? So it takes it out of our minds, right? We don't have to think about it because that's their job, first of the month, right? Or the 15th of the previous month, tell us who we need to be reaching out to or who we need to contact. And a few other things in terms of like just reporting, like we're looking at our social media spend and results every week. And that VA can pull in those numbers for us so that we can spend time thinking about like, what do we need to change about this ad instead of where are the numbers? How do I get them? Right. So it's a lot of stuff that actually can be taken off your plate if you have the time to train and allow that person to really take the reins of that task. And sometimes our assistant trains the VA to do it as well. And so the assistant has more free time, therefore, to, help us with a listing or, get a buyer presentation ready or whatever it might be that we need in person. So that has helped a lot.
Yeah, I liked what you said about, it taking the time to train the assistant, the virtual assistant to do that. I think a lot of times when people bail on that whole idea, it's really because they haven't taken the time to make it work.
It's hard. We all have egos, right? But at the end of the day, it's like the reason they're not successful is probably because of you. And if you're not giving the time to them to really help them understand how to do it the way you want it done, then you won't be successful. So you really do have to coach and make sure they're trained in the way you want. And that takes time for sure.
Yeah. So going forward, what's the plan of scaling your business? Where are you wanting to get to?
Yeah, I think, Tracy and I have talked a lot in the past year about where we want to be. We've grown, we're basically reaching this year 2x what we did last year. So we're very happy about that. I think we're looking at, having a small but mighty team. I think that's the way we think about it. Managing people is new to both of us. And so it's not something that's super easy, but it is something we're learning to do. And I think still being in a place where we're monitoring that customer experience, right? And making sure that they're getting everything they need. We'd love to hit that mark this year, which I think we're on track for, of doubling our business from last year. And then probably from there, maybe doubling again, maybe 1.5 what we've done this year, but with a team that basically everyone can do anything ideally. So sort of that SEAL model that you've heard talked about, probably anyone can step in for anyone and everyone's trained to do everything. So that's, I think, the ultimate goal and what we'd like to get to just in the beginning stages, right? Her and I have been the ones selling mostly thus far this year. We actually just added the 2 other salespeople. So it's been a long road, but I think we're ready to kind of scale at a pace that feels good and where we can still keep that customer experience really great for anyone who wants to work with us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. The stuff you're doing is awesome and really innovative.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity and super happy to share with anyone.
So I want to thank Brennen for joining us today. And I really love the way he's educating the public through these webinars, all while adding the attendees to his lead pipeline. So once again, if you think you or somebody else on your team has an awesome story or tip to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. Well, that wraps things up for this episode, but remember, follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts and make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Again, I'm Michael Walter, and we'll see you on the next episode.